Hey everyone, it's Frankie-Lou.
And Angus in garden plot planning too.
Yeah, we did a video about a month ago on garden plot planning.
And then visit the link in the description if you want to see that. But here's the sequel.
Okay, we have had much better weather here since then. We're getting nighttime temperatures are starting to become above zero. Yay! So we're going to be able to start putting some plants into the ground pretty quick here. I do have lots of plants in the greenhouse right now with the heater on, and we can show you that in another episode. But today we thought we'd talk about what we do to the soil prior to actually putting the plants in. Now, in our earlier episode about garden plot planning, we talked about the sizing and distance in between. But one thing that we didn't talk very much about is mulching and protection from weeds, because honestly, it's just as important to be paying attention as to what you're keeping out of your beds as what we're putting in. So Angus and I came up with this technique because we don't like to throw things away, and we don't like to buy things that we can maybe find around the homestead here already. We try to use as much of the waste that we make here. And if you can hear in the background, we got our ducks and our chickens, and they go
which I wanted to hold, but
well, we've got a lot of they need a lot of food, and so we get a lot of these feed bags. So rather than buying vapor barrier, black fabric barrier, what we do is we cut up our feed bags
and
we lay them down underneath the mulch here. Yeah, we can't really show you that right now, but there are feed bags laid down here. And then we also put a layer of cardboard underneath our beds prior to putting them into place.
Very, very versatile. Don't get rid of it.
Yeah, it's another way to we find it helps to keep things level, and before we put the beds on it. Another thing that we do, which we did talk about, we want to keep the pocket gophers out.
So we have this netting.
Yeah, like a screen, and we oh, Angus has found some. We use this in this application for this new bed that we're doing. It's a perennial bed that we're going to have here for assisting our bees, and we're going to put a fountain in the area, and so it's a nice place to sort of sit and also feed our bees.
Yep.
And then on top of that, we use a really nice mulch. We ordered
1 ton.
1 ton, compressed 8 yards of this stuff, because that costs as much as 3 yards of the regular mulch, and we also can use it as bedding for our chickens and our ducks. It doesn't get slippery when it's wet the way straw does, and it's extremely absorbent, so that's good when we do get rain. Because the one thing about these layers that we made with the feed bags is that they don't allow the water to go through very quickly. So if you just put straw on them, it can get quite slippery. But this beautiful pine mulch is excellent for, wood shaving mulch is excellent for absorbing. So we really like it for that. This might seem like a lot of work to go through, but one thing that
you don't want it to get
we don't want it to get destroyed. You can make these beautiful raised beds, and here in Springbank
they'll last for about a year, and then they'll get
full of
taken over by the lawn and quackgrass.
Yeah. So this putting mulch in between and trying to keep the quackgrass out. This is, I have found to be over the years, is extremely important if you don't want to just get tired of having to weed all the time. This is just as important as what you put in the garden bed itself, is what you put around the garden bed to keep those terrible, terrible weeds at bay. Oh, so we've got, that's what we do in between each of the beds here. But let's talk about what we put inside the beds.
They look a little mouse.
Yeah, we've got a little mouse that's been hanging out here. He loves this stuff. Our cat's going to have to do her job soon. Or our chicken, apparently. But
I thought she was a herbivore.
So we've got a whole bunch of different amendments that we're going to make to this soil. We're going to be putting Oh, he is a brave little mouse. We're going to be putting plants in these in about a week's time. So about a week before we put the plants in the ground, we do a bunch of things.
So first thing we add to the soil.
Yeah.
Compost.
Yep.
Compost.
This is really great compost that we created ourselves. That's one of the benefits of having a chicken coop is we do get to make a lot of compost.
Yep.
And I turn a lot. I do a lot of turning of my compost. I have 3 different sections. And
after 3 years, it will turn into this.
No, after 1 year. He has no idea how hard I work at it. But we will do another session completely on composting because I have learned several tricks over the year to make it go a little bit fast over the 7 years that make it go quite a bit faster. And here in Springbank, you take as many shortcuts as you can to make things go faster. So this is really great compost. So we're going to put a nice thick layer of this, probably about 1 inch or 2, on top of each of these beds. We've weeded these beds prior. These ones are new, so they didn't need weeding. But this is a really cool thing that we like to add to all.
It's called diatomaceous earth.
Yes. Diatomaceous earth.
Diatomaceous earth.
Yes. One of my favorite items. It is organic. It's completely natural. And actually, Angus can explain to you what it's made of.
Okay. It's made of ancient diatoms.
Yes.
Diatoms are these little pieces of algae that live in silica shells.
It's a single-celled algae.
Yeah.
Sorry, Angus. He just got silica in his lungs, I guess. Okay, and what's cool about the diatoms, honey?
They produce 50% of the world's air that we breathe.
Oxygen, yeah.
And if you were to get a 1 liter bucket and scoop up some seawater, there's a chance that there's over 1 million diatoms in it.
Yeah, so they're really quite neat, and they're really important to our ecosystem now.
Yeah,
because
one thing, when you're using diatomaceous earth, if you don't want lung cancer, I suggest wearing one of these.
Yeah, we do wear the mask when we're sprinkling it on the surface. But what we were saying about the diatoms is that they actually form a huge portion of the phytoplankton that's in the ocean. And like Angus said, they produce 50% of the world's oxygen. It's a single-celled algae that has a silica shell around it. And if you really want to see some neat photographs, look up diatom images. Yeah, because they come in every shape you can possibly imagine for a single cell. They're really, really quite cool. And they've been around for forever. They're one of the first life forms on this planet.
It's so cool.
And
they don't fossilize.
Well, what happened is when the Earth was covered in ocean, it had
1 liter
contains
over 1 million diatoms.
Yeah, so think about it. As those oceans receded, we've got huge deposits of fossilized diatoms throughout the planet, all over the place. So that is what you use here, and what we use. It's an organic method. And it's a really great way of helping to avoid some of the main pests.
Yes, arthropods.
Yeah. So if you want to keep your ants off, they're pretty effective for ants. But what we really use them for is the flea beetles. So what Angus and I are going to do is we're going to mask up. I take a mason jar, I poke some holes in it, I put this in, and then I sprinkle this on the surface quite evenly. And I'm going to do that about a week before I want to plant, because what's going to happen is now that I've got the compost in there and the soil is heating up, all of those little critters that I don't want to come back, like the flea beetles, are going to start emerging from the soil. And if they hit the diatomaceous earth, what's going to happen, Angus?
If the flea beetles?
Yeah, when the flea beetles emerge and they hit diatomaceous earth.
Well, it will get under their exoskeleton and irritate them so much that it kills them.
Yeah, because even though it feels like a wonderful, silty, smooth silt
that
to us,
happens to dry out your hands.
But for an animal like a flea beetle, if it gets
like broken glass,
like shards of glass, because that's what it is. It is silica shards. So we're going to
Not
do
glass,
that.
but
We're
still.
going to completely coat these surfaces here with diatomaceous earth for about a week so that if stuff comes up, it's going to die. And then we'll put our plants in, and then we tend to also put another layer on. Diatomaceous earth isn't a chemical, and so it's not like with a lot of organic planting methods, it needs reapplication. It's not a one kill all kind of thing, but it's good for your plants. Angus insists on using it. He thinks that it actually must have some good nutrient value because he always gets the first crack at it for his own beds, and he's always had fabulous success with his beds too. So I guess to recap, you want to, when you're preparing your beds,
use diatomaceous earth and compost.
No, hold on. That's what we put in the beds, on top of the beds. You want to do that about a week or two prior so that it has enough time to sort of work, the compost gets into the soil. In between your beds, it's really important, especially here in Springbank, to have good mulching. And so we put multiple layers. We do a layer of cardboard underneath the bed itself. We do a layer of screen to keep out the pocket gophers. And then in between the beds, we don't put the feed bags right under the beds because we do want good drainage there. But in between the beds, we put our feed bags. You can use fabric.
Yeah.
You can buy fabric barrier if you want, but we're not going to buy stuff.
Feed bags are so much cheaper
because we got them anyways.
Chicken.
Yeah, and then we put a really nice thick layer of mulch on top of that. And that has honestly been a very good recipe for success for us, for keeping it so that I'm not weeding 24/7. Because I have, especially with this new area here, I think we have something like 35 beds. I don't have time to weed those a lot. So doing this has helped. Another quick tip, I've actually gotten bursitis in my hip before.
When sod cutting?
Sod cutting, yeah. Repetitive stress injury from cutting sod in this hip.
Overuse.
Yeah, overuse. So what we did this year, we knew we wanted to make this bed back in the fall. And I did not want to cut a 14 by 14 spot of sod.
It was worse when you did the whole.
Yeah. So what we did is we laid down
a whole bunch of planks.
Yeah, wood pallets. We layered this up, so there was like 3 or 4 layers of wood pallets.
There was wood up to here.
Yeah, and then we just moved it away, and we left that for the whole season. So no sun was there, and guess what? It killed all my grass. That's what I wanted it to do. Okay, and so
killing grass is bad.
In advance, if you know well in advance, if you're thinking in the fall, geez, I want to take that area and make it up, take it. You know what happens when you leave wood lying on the grass? It dies, right? Like, I'm sure all of us at some point have left some wood somewhere and it's killed our grass. Well, we did it on purpose. We laid a whole bunch of wood, saved us so much.
Doesn't work as well when you do it on purpose, though.
No, it worked great. It saved me so much time. All I had to do was level. So I hope that was helpful. That was garden plot planning too. We're going to do some more sessions later this week on our bees, and also we'll probably put those potatoes in next week so you can see the potatoes that we had chitted earlier in an earlier session. So once again, if there's anything that you want to see or any questions that you have, please let us know in the comments, and I hope you guys can get outside and get your hands dirty. Have a great day.